like how it was turning out ended up sort of sparking this inspiration for this whole series. And I spent a lot of time kind of looking at it and trying to figure out like what is this about? Why did I do this? So basically this piece, I was thinking a lot about sort of what this means and why I had done it. And I mentioned before, my anxiety is a huge part of my work. And because I went into that painting with sort of no expectations and a little more relaxed, I found that it was actually helping me feel better about everything else that was going on, and just sort of all these feelings that were inside and I didn't really know what to do with them. So basically this piece ended up being the start of a story about self-reflection and this inner self that I find myself kind of referring to a lot. I imagine her as this person inside all of us. And every person kind of has a different way of holding on to ideas and dreams and fears and those things that you're not quite ready to share with the world. As an introvert, I find that's most things I'm not really ready to talk about. But I sort of hold on to them and I keep it inside. Sometimes I'll do some writing just for my own sort of journals. I don't write poetry or anything like that.
I think you should though.
Yeah, I can't add another thing to the pile. Yeah, so basically I imagine her as this kind of creature, this mythical creature that lives inside all of us, and she holds on to these ideas and thoughts and fears and dreams and keeps them safe while you're figuring out what you want to do with it or how you want to present it or share it with the world. And so I sort of imagine the koi or the fish as the symbol for those dreams and fears. So she is a protector. And I always find that this idea has kind of made me feel better about sharing, because it's almost like putting a visual to this feeling that I've had since I was really little. So it's kind of a nice little story that I can kind of fall back onto when I'm feeling like I've got these things inside me and I'm not quite ready to share. This one was a big one about my aunt, because it's very personal, and even though everybody mostly has experienced some kind of grief and they know what that feels like, it still makes you feel very vulnerable when you're sharing those things. So knowing that I have this kind of keeper inside me to kind of hold on to these things makes me feel more at peace with it, and that it will come out when it's ready, it's kind of nice. It makes me feel like I can actually, have somewhere to put it, keep moving forward, and then things will go where they need to go.
Keep moving forward.
Exactly. So I did 2 more paintings inspired by the first one, and they have a lot of the same themes. But the series is still in development, and I have a lot more ideas for it, and I want to kind of I want to include these sort of scenarios and stories attached to different things that the keeper has to deal with that kind of symbolize parts of our lives that we kind of struggle with. Some might be grief, some might be when you have this big dream that you're trying to do, but you're just too scared to start, which is very common. So I'm gonna keep working on this series. The paintings are gonna evolve, and hopefully it will be amazing, but I don't know. Trying to take the pressure off. Thank you. Well, I hope it's not downhill from here. We'll see. So I just have a few more pieces to share. The Keeper is what I'm really working on right now. But this series is sort of one that I have not figured out where it's going yet. These 2 pieces on the screen were created as an application for a wine label contest. And it was really just, again, me experimenting and seeing, if I like doing these things. I used to work a lot with graphite, and then since starting painting, I haven't done a lot of drawing, so it was nice to kind of go back to that. But they're just pleasant to look at, and I really like them. But I'm not really sure what they're about yet, so that is one of those things that's just sort of on the back burner. It's stewing, like a perpetual stew kind of thing, and I'll just keep adding to it until I figure out where it's going. This one is probably going to be kind of part of the same series, but I'm not sure yet. So, and then these are some older pieces. So I mentioned before that I went through a little brief stint with mythology, and so these three pieces were kind of created during that time. The middle one is about the story of Lilith, the female demon, and then the other two are a little more loosey-goosey. There's no real story attached to them. But what I was talking about before when I said like I felt like they're not very connected to me, there isn't a lot of my story in these paintings, so that's why I felt that as successful as they are on their own, they weren't doing what I wanted them to do. So I'm really happy to kind of leave them behind, move on, try something new. And so that's kind of where I went with the keeper from here.
So amazing.
Thank you. Yeah, I mean, it taught me a lot to do them. The techniques that go into painting people it's pretty tricky. And there was a time where I couldn't paint people at all. So it was all part of the process. I just included this one too because I just wanted to talk a little bit about my teaching. So I do teach art to kids and adults. And usually with my classes, I try to teach sort of more beginner techniques and just inspire people to loosen up and create sort of fun things, because I think there's so much pressure out there if you're an artist or a poet or any kind of creative to deliver something amazing. And what I realized during my journey is that oftentimes when you're creating something and you have all that pressure on, it ends up being far less successful than if you just loosen up and let it happen. And I think a lot of that goes to how we compare to the teacher or someone we saw online or really anything. We compare and then tear our stuff down because of that. So with my work, one thing I did learn is that I have to stop doing that. It's really hard though, so don't feel bad if you're still doing it to yourself.
Instagram scroll. Right?
Oh, I don't even go on Instagram unless I'm posting. I don't go on there at all because it is a black hole of sadness. Everyone else is so amazing, and then I just think, well then, what am I? Not at all.
That's me scrolling past your page. I'm like, oh, I do.
See, that's the thing too, right? So I feel this way.
But it's inspiration. I take this inspiration.
Yeah, I think inspiration is only good sometimes in small doses when you're getting it from other creators.
Yeah.
You have to be really careful about taking on too much of their stuff because it just makes you feel not so great. Getting inspiration from your own life is probably the best thing. So these two pieces, again, this is before I kind of figured out like what I want to do, but they were really fun to paint and really technically sort of good for me in skill development. So I really enjoyed them, and I do still love them, but I feel detached from them, which is.
Do you think that all art has to have a particular meaning or an attachment, or can it just be fun? Because you said you had fun doing them, right?
I did.
Isn't that part of it?
That's a really good question. So I will say, as somebody who went to art school, I feel like that might be part of the problem, because I went there 5 years and spent a lot of time trying to justify like why I made my work, and having instructors just question you, like it was almost like I don't know, it was like a really crazy interview where they're just telling me it's not good enough, you need to have more meaning, it needs to mean something, it needs to do something, it can't just be. But they also told us that creating artwork just with graphite pencil meant that it wasn't real art. So I have to take it with a grain of salt. But I think after that many years of hearing that just sort of every day, it's hard to get that out of my head. So I think this is a me problem. I'm not saying everyone's work needs to have meaning, but for me, I need to feel attached to my work. I do think that there's a lot of people that believe that art shouldn't be beautiful, otherwise it doesn't mean something, and I disagree with that. I love pretty things, and I'm gonna paint pretty things. It's just gonna happen. I'm not letting go of that one. And then this one, I just wanted to show you my sketchbook. Just a little bit of things that I do in my sketchbook to kind of get away from the heaviness of trying to produce, finished artwork. I did these because I wanted to just try a new medium, play around, and just experiment and have fun with it. But I did find, even with my sketchbook, I'm really bad about sort of pressuring myself to do good work. So that's something I'm still working on, but I'm hoping I can get over that soon. Yeah. So that is pretty much all I have.